All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. It is Wednesday. Wait, it is not Wednesday. What am I thinking? It's Thursday, November 21st, year of our Lord 2024. And I've heard there's been a declaration. Oh, yes. All right, yes, there has been an official declaration called the Antioch Declaration, a statement on racial ideologies threatening the church. Now, I have read this statement in its entirety, and it is definitely a statement. That's for sure. It is a declaration. It is a statement. I mean, how else can you really describe it? It's a statement, and and they've declared it. It's very interesting. Now, what I wanted to do today is I wanted to talk about some extremely important things. Now, I don't know if you guys have been paying attention, but I've always said, like, I follow the New York Jets. I wouldn't necessarily consider myself a Jets fan because that implies that you root for them. You're interested in them. You want them to do well. And I gotta say, I really don't feel like that describes what I do with the Jets. Like, I do watch the Jets. I kind of follow what they do. But I have to be honest with you. I kind of more like when they lose, like in epic, crazy, ridiculous ways, more than I like when they win. Now, if they won, I wouldn't say that I'm disappointed. It's not that I'm disappointed. It's just that I don't feel as much joy, I guess I could say. So I know that there's like an opportunity cost there. Like I could be feeling more joy if they were just losing in an epically hilarious fashion. I'm a Jets. I follow the New York Jets, and I'm definitely a Mets fan. And these two franchises, they really could not be on opposite sides of the spectrum here because obviously people they like to make fun of the Mets too. The Jets and the Mets are really the two teams in New York that everyone loves to make fun of all the time. But when you think about the Mets and who the Mets are, yes, there is a lot of incompetence in the Mets history. That is definitely true. You can't deny that. But they're not a consistent joke. They're every 5 years or so, they get pretty good. They go to the World Series every so often. They make playoff runs, every 5 years or so. They're kind of always in the mix, you know what I mean? And I think, they've had some pretty bad seasons, don't get me wrong. But it's never like colossal, like historic incompetence. Now, there are some examples of historic incompetence with the New York Mets, but in general, they really don't have the same vibe as the New York Jets. Now, the New York Jets they're a historically incompetent organization. Not even just sports. I've been hearing people say they're the most incompetent organization in sports. I don't even think that does it. I think it might be the most incompetent organization of any private organization to ever exist. And so they're really on two opposite ends of the spectrum, especially now that the New York Mets have a new owner, Steve Cohen. Steve Cohen, multi-billionaire hedge fund guy, just has all the money in the world. I was telling one of my friends, they posted a picture of all the Jewish hedge fund billionaires in the world. Like, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them. And I declared, I made my own declaration. My declaration is I am okay with Steve Cohen having a lot of money. I'm definitely okay with it. It was interesting. They did an interview with Steve Cohen, and they asked him about the cost side of baseball, right? Because he bought the team, and they started asking him about the cost side. And the cost side is really, it's mostly player salaries. Like, how do you feel about spending X amount of dollars on player salaries? And Steve Cohen cut him off. He says, I actually don't even really care about the cost side. And the interviewer, Steve Cohen tried to go on to say that it's all going to even out in the end, but the interviewer was shocked by that. He said, wait, whoa, hold on. Surely when you bought the team, you didn't do it like as philanthropy, right? And he goes, no, that's exactly what I did. I bought the team, and because I wanted them to win. It didn't really matter if I made a ton of money on it. That's exactly what I did. I bought the team as like a philanthropic effort. And man, my little Mets fan heart grew 3 sizes that day. It's just beautiful. It's a beautiful situation. And I don't even care. This is the thing. I've never cared that there's no salary cap in baseball. I don't care. I like that there's no salary cap in baseball. I like that it's unfair. In fact, I saw Andrew Isker. He had a very eloquent thing about how he also likes the fact that there's no, it's not fair in baseball that there's these big market teams that can sign all the superstars. He likes that too, and I totally agree. And it's not just because I'm a Mets fan. I totally agree. I think it's a superior method, whatever. But the Mets, though, they've got a smart owner. Well, let's just say relatively smart. Who knows how actually smart he is with baseball. But he's smart enough to know that he doesn't know baseball as well as he knows, stocks and equities and stuff like that. So he hired a president of baseball operations who's, big brain, big baseball, big brain. And he kind of just stays out of the way for the most part. He just signs the checks. Which you gotta love that, because they've got competence in leadership positions, and so they're a very competent team, and they make competent moves. They do trades, they do signings. They'll spend a lot of money if they need to, but they don't always have to. The Mets are in good hands, and I'm not going to say they're going to win the World Series next year, but they're going to be in the mix for a long time coming. That's my prediction. The Mets are in very good hands. Now, the Jets, on the other hand, could not be in a worse situation. It is unbelievably epic. They just fired their general manager, Joe Douglas, who deserved to be fired. I mean, his track record has been horrendous. But the thing is that I actually don't know if his track record is horrendous or not, because a big tell-all article came out about how Woody Johnson, from Johnson & Johnson, he's a big Trump guy too, by the way, Woody Johnson. Good taste in politicians. Not so good taste when it comes to football. But Woody Johnson apparently has been making the decisions. Like, he hasn't let the general manager manage anything. He's been sticking his beak in and making these moves and all kinds of crazy stuff. So apparently he's had the reins for at least a year, probably more. Let's just face it. So, on the face of it, Joe Douglas has done a horrible job. I mean, his record proves it. You are what your record says you are. But anyway, so he apparently, and Joe Douglas, this is another funny thing. A lot of Jets fans forget this. When Joe Douglas got hired, he got hired in the most backwards, ridiculous, incompetent way you could possibly make a hiring decision, right? And it was a well-regarded hire. People were excited about Joe Douglas. I knew it wasn't going to work out because I know everything the Jets do isn't going to work out. But what they did was, in football, the biggest, most busiest time for the general manager is the NFL draft, when you draft players onto your team that used to be in college and all that kind of stuff. Well, the previous GM before Joe Douglas did all of the drafting. He did all of the planning of who they're going to sign and what they're going to do, and he drafted the players. And then only after that did Woody Johnson fire him to hire Joe Douglas. And I got to be honest with you, it's ridiculous. I mean, he oh, man. Every single thing the Jets do is wrong. Literally every single thing they do is wrong. Whatever you should do, the Jets do the opposite thing. And so now we've got a situation where we've got a horrible team. I mean, the team is worse with Aaron Rodgers and better players in various positions than it was last year with Zach Wilson and worse players. They were doing better last year than they are this year. And then they fire Robert Saleh mid-season. And again, this is another guy. I think he deserved to be fired. He sucks. He stinks. He was a horrible head coach. Or maybe he wasn't. I don't know, because maybe Woody Johnson was actually coaching the team. Nobody knows. Anyway, they fire him because he was doing a horrendous job, which he most certainly was. And then what they do is they elevate their defensive coordinator to the head coach position, which is not what usually happens. What usually happens is they want to keep the defense intact. They want to keep the offense intact, so they end up promoting, like the linebackers coach or something to be the head coach. But not the Jets. The Jets know better. So they elevate the defensive coordinator to the head coach position. And what happens? The team gets worse, far worse. Not only that, but the defense of the team, which is half of your football team, a very important part of the football team. When Robert Saleh was the head coach and this guy Ulbrich was the defensive coordinator, they were number 5 in the league. I mean, top 5 defense for sure. Since Ulbrich, the defensive coordinator, was elevated to head coach, they're in the bottom 5 of the league. So it could not be more apparent that Robert Saleh was the glue that kept that defense together. and it's just all falling apart. The Jets are having one of the most disappointing seasons that you can remember. Now, I'm not disappointed because I predicted it. Now, that's not actually fair. I knew the Jets weren't going to make the playoffs. I predicted that they wouldn't make the playoffs. But I didn't know it was going to be this bad. This is way worse than even I thought. And I'm a pretty negative guy that kind of gets off on watching the Jets lose. So it has been historically bad. But it gets better. There's no hope in sight. Like I'm a very optimistic guy in general, but I'm also fairly realistic. And so while last year I thought the Mets would be good, I thought the Mets would be in the mix for a playoff spot, late in the season. I didn't think we necessarily make the playoffs, but I knew we'd be playing meaningful baseball in like August and September, which a lot of people that, get paid to do this kind of analysis did not think. I knew the Jets would be good, but at the same time I was realistic. I was like, yeah, they'll be good, but I don't know if they'll make the playoffs. I mean, I could not have predicted the run to the NLCS. That was pretty awesome. But on the other hand, so the Jets have a lot of hope for the future. They're in a good financial position. They've got a lot of money to spend. They've got key pieces of the team, and they can add some stuff. And man, they're going to get Juan Soto, man. I feel like we have a good chance of getting Juan Soto. If we don't, I'll be disappointed. But I trust him. I trust David Stearns. You know what I mean? That's the baseball operations president for the New York Mets. I trust Steve Cohen. You know what I mean? Jewish billionaire. In any case, so anyway, but the Jets could not be in a worse position because think about this, right? They need a new GM. They need a new head coach. I mean, they that's obvious. They don't have a GM right now. There's someone filling in, but he's not really a GM. He's just kind of filling in while the season kind of dies a slow, painful death. And they need a new head coach, right? And now you find out that Woody Johnson really didn't even let the last guy be a GM. He's a very well-respected, football guy, and he didn't have any power to do what he wanted to do. In fact, last year in the offseason, he wanted to make some moves, and when Woody Johnson wouldn't let him do it, and he was quoted as saying, why doesn't he just fire me now? I'm not GM anyway. Why don't you just fire me? And you can't have a relationship like that. So think about this. They need a new GM. What GM that's worth his salt that actually can do the job, that's got experience or is well regarded, what GM's going to want the job? If they know full well that Woody Johnson is going to bring stick his little pencil neck into your meetings and say, oh no, you can't sign that guy. And this is the best part. Apparently Woody Johnson, the way he makes decisions, I kid you not. The way he makes decisions is he goes on Twitter. And he goes on YouTube and stuff like that, and he watches idiots like me say what the Jets should do. He watches idiots like me say, "Oh, the Jets should sign this guy. The Jets should do this. The Jets should do that," and then he goes and does it. That's how Woody Johnson, that's how he makes decisions. And so you think about it. There's no GM worth their salt that's going to take that job. They'll just say, "Nah, I'm good. I'll wait for the next job." Literally any job in the NFL is better than the Jets job. So what we're going to end up with is some loser who, obviously someone's going to take the job. There's only 30 teams in the league, 32, I don't know. There's only like 30, 32 teams in the league, so there's only 30, 32 positions like this. So someone's going to take it, but it's going to be some loser. It's going to be some loser, and then Woody Johnson's going to fire up Twitter and see, well, what do these idiots say this time? Oh, you think we should sign this guy? Oh, sure. Well, let's go make an offer. Oh, man, I love it. If you could just be at my house, like on let's say the Jets are playing a Thursday night game, and I watch the game, and things start to go sideways, and the Jets lose in an epic fashion. And I'll look over to my wife and I'll say, oh, man, I can't wait. I can't wait to see the Jets podcast tomorrow. And I'm legitimately excited to watch the Jets podcasts after a loss. Now, when the Jets win, I don't even consider watching the Jets podcast. I don't care. I don't want to see any extra. Oh, great, the Jets won. That's good. And I just move on with my life. But when the Jets lose, oh, man, those podcasts, mwah, nothing's better than that. Nothing is better than that. I don't care what it is. Whatever it is you like to do on YouTube or whatever in your podcast, you like to watch, whatever kind of content, you like to watch 80 Robles, I'll guarantee you it's not as good as these Jets bloggers and video bloggers after a Jets loss. Oh, it's just magnificent. It's just magnificent. In any case, that's my video for today. I think, oh yes, the Antioch Declaration. That's right, the Antioch Declaration. So, some people have asked me about it, and I have seen it. I have read it, they asked me if I'm going to sign it, and I'll tell you, I don't see it happening, and I will not elaborate at this time. In any case, I hope you found this video helpful. God bless. Puro fuego es mi amor por